Hello, and welcome back to another episode of VZ Garage 360. Today, we're going to be polishing the journals on our crank. We're not using the one from the original engine because it's going to take a lot of work to get that one going again. There was some aluminum that went through this engine, and let me show you the old parts and show you what we originally started with. So this is the old crankshaft here. As you can see here, and here, there's still bearings kind of welded to this thing because of that melted aluminum. And if you take a look up here, you have some aluminum that's been melted, and that's one of the main reasons why I'm not using this crank, because it would take a lot to get that fixed. And as you can see right here, there's a pretty deep groove for the rear main seal, so I may not ever use this just because of the rough shape that this is in. So here's the culprit of the problems with this engine. Had to be making one heck of a sound, and I'm surprised they didn't get it serviced sooner than this. But if I bring you up a little bit closer, I mean, we got a cam cap broken in half. This one, you can see that crack there. This one's cracked right in half. This one's melted, as you can see. I mean, it's just in rough shape. I mean, the only things that could possibly be used on here are maybe the rocker arms or cam followers, maybe the springs, maybe the valves, but to me, this is worth nothing more than a core charge at the junkyard to grab some new heads. And this right here is the cam phaser. This is probably the number one reason why the 5.4 3-valve was such a problem. It was the first engine that Ford ever put phasers on, and the idea of it was good, but the execution was really bad. There's a lot of horror stories out there about engines failing because of these. But I'm probably going to keep this around. There's parts in here that you can use for locking out other phasers. You don't have to get the special kits for them with the billet aluminum locker. The old phasers have the baffles in them. Those can actually be used to lock out phasers. And I'll show you that at some point. As a work surface, I'm using this old tire here. This thing, I've had it for quite a while, and honestly, the only reason I use it anymore is for strapping on my truck and pushing vehicles. But for this, it should be fine. It'll give us some work surface underneath here. If you take one of these to the machine shop, they're micro polishing, as they call it, or at least the shops that I worked at. They have this tool that they use. They actually take the front of this crank here and they put this in a lathe. So this thing's going to be spinning. And they have the tool that has this belt of emery cloth. And it's not a super fine grit. And they just go over it little by little and clean these up. It does do the job if you're looking to get it done really quick, which these shops were. But for this case, I'm going to get this to a mirror shine, or at least try to. To me, that's going to be a better surface for allowing the bearing to slip past this. So I have some 1000 grit sandpaper here. If you buy I think it's half sheets, if you fold them in half and then cut them, they're the perfect size, at least for a 5.4, to fit right on that journal. So what I'm going to do here as my lubricant, I'm going to use WD-40, give it a nice liberal coating, take my sandpaper and put it around, and then loop it on here once. So as you can see, that's cleaning it up quite a bit. I'm going to put a little bit more WD-40 on here, just to clean off the paper a little bit. And we're going to keep going. All right, that's looking really good. It's taking off all the scoring that you saw right here. There's really not much on here. I'm just trying to get it to a better shine, a better polish. So I'm starting with 1,000 grit just because it wasn't terrible to begin with. And I don't want to remove a ton of material. So I'm going to move this up to the next step. I have 1,500 grit sandpaper and 2,000. 2,000 may be a little bit overkill. So these are the sheets I'm getting just to show you. And all I'm doing is folding this right in half. And as you can see, loose fit. That's perfect. So I'm going to go cut this. Let's wipe this off. Yeah, look at that. That's looking really good. Okay. Let's spray this down again. Take our 1,500 grit sandpaper. And we'll do the same thing. All right, let's wipe this off. All right, look at that. That's looking really good. Nice and smooth. Yeah. It's going to be really nice. So let's move to 2,000 grit. All right, that's after 2,000 grit sandpaper. I went and got some metal polish. Bought the cheapest one at Home Depot, honestly. And I'm going to see if I can't polish this with that metal polish and make it even better. This is what I'm going to be using. Presso. Says it works on stainless, chrome, aluminum, pewter, bronze, brass, and copper. Let's see if it'll work on steel. I would assume stainless and steel would be pretty much the same. Let's see. Take some of it. And I sacrificed one of my old undershirts. And wrap it around. Man, this stuff's got a potent smell to it. Well, that stuff doesn't work half bad. Very potent smell to it. But, yeah, the results can't complain, honestly. So I'm going to start working on the rest of these journals here. I have all the rod bearing journals polished now. I'm going to move on to the main journals now. So what I'm going to do to try to get this to fit, I'm going to start again by cutting this in half. Basically, the reason why I'm doing it this way is so I don't have quite as big of a piece to try to fit in there. I think it'll be a little bit easier. So now that I have it cut in half, I come in here. I'm just going to fit it in here And what I did was kind of folded it. I'm going to bring it back just a hair. And this is all I need for those main journals. So I'm going to try to eye this up so it's square. All right, I'm going to go cut this. All right, now with our cut piece, let's see if it fits, and that is really good fit. So I'm going to do the exact same thing to the main journals as the rod journals. I found it easier to kind of use this thing as a cup on the bottom, spray WD-40 on either side, bring it together, loop your string around. There's something about doing it that way where the WD-40 gets distributed evenly and doesn't cause any binding with your sandpaper. All right, now that this one's all finished, there is some polish in that oil hole there, but I'll worry about cleaning that once I have this whole thing cleaned. I'm going to do these two off camera and probably this one here. This one and this one, basically the outsides of the crank, I'll do those on camera just to show you what I did with these, because these could have a tendency to fall off. So with this here, this is a little bit too big of a diameter to make the string actually work. So I'm just going to take a piece of sandpaper and just start sanding it real lightly. And then finish it up with our metal polish. This one, we're gonna measure and cut a piece. Put some WD-40 on there. Grab our string. And since we don't have an edge right here, we're going to want to keep these as straight as possible so this doesn't move on us and fall off. I'm curious. Now that I'm looking at this, it might be easier just to put a full sheet on here and put the string around it. I'm going to give it a try and see what happens. last step, our metal polish, and this is the last journal. So I'm going to wipe this whole thing down, and I'll show you what we can do to clean out these oil holes. So these oil holes, best way to clean them is with a brass brush like this. The way oil flows through this crank, of course, the main journals here connect directly to the block, and there's a little hole in the block that feeds oil to the bearings here, and the oil will flow inside this hole, and there's holes drilled going to the connecting rods here. So these connecting rod holes join up with these ones, and that's how oil gets to these rod bearings. So I have some acetone. I'm going to dunk this in some acetone first. And you just want to feed it right through these holes. And with doing this, you may be thinking, hey, you're scratching up your nice polished surface. But actually, if you look at these holes, they're countersunk just a little bit. So all the bristles on this brush are hitting that countersink and not messing up our nice clean polish. So you can do this without worrying about having to go over this again. And also when you get these back from the machine shop, you want to be sure that you do this before installing the crank, because when they put these things through the hot tank, these holes like to collect all the dirt from the engine and all the different parts. So definitely clean out these holes. All right, let's wipe off the gunk. All right, got all the holes that we can see now. Now we want to spin this thing. Oh, I missed one. Get this real quick. Yeah. All right, now let's spin it. Okay. These two first. And this whole, the main caps actually do go all the way through. And this one, get this one. All right, let's wipe this off. All right, now that we have this wiped off, I am going to take some WD-40 just as a way of hopefully cleaning this. Honestly, brake clean would probably be a better option, but I don't have any, so just gonna make this work. It's just basically meant to push anything out that may be in there. All right, flip this over because we still have to do these two rod journals. These ones real quick. And I'll wipe this thing off. The other thing you could do probably after this is take a little compressed air, shoot some air in some of these holes, get out whatever debris may be in there. Because we don't want this dirt in our engine when we build it. All right, there she is, ready to be installed in the block. That's going to do it for today. The tedious work is over. Crankshafts, polishing, very, very tedious work. Real time took me about 4 or 5 hours. So the next one, the best one, is going to be assembling the engine. I can't wait. So stay tuned for the next one. And if you could, give me a like and subscribe. Really helps the channel. And I'll see you on the next one.